Today is the 5th of March, 2022. We always start with our disclaimer, go over our calls, and then make some predictions for the market when it reopens on Monday. This is my plan for trading Monday. It's a plan. I can be wrong, and any trade one makes should be at one's own risk. We looked for the pattern on Friday with the early low. Tends to be a rally day with a high in the final hour. We got that. Monday we looked for the pattern with the early high. Futures were way down when I made the call. I said if by some chance they would recover and we would hold this low, we could have a good rally. I said if they didn't recover, all I had was a prior target, 43.2369. At target printed, you can see resistance right at the target price, which we cleared right at the end of the day. There's a new target for Monday, 43.3905, and unless we gap down smartly, that's my call. Let's just look at the MEJT stuff. MEJT marks this drop as false, says we're going to overtake this high. Now, about a year ago, I asked if anybody knew how to program stuff and was willing to work with me. I never got any replies, but this is actually one of the patterns I've noticed for forming the low. And if somebody knows how to check it, I'd appreciate that person letting me know. Here's the pattern, which I think occurs often, and what its success rate is, I can't really tell. You gap down smartly, rally, hit a lower low right at the end of the second hour of trading, give or take a little, and then you hold this low for the rest of the day. There's a very good chance, in my experience, that this means that the sellers are exhausted and the selling is done and the rally is going to continue. Now, I'm going to say it happens often, but again, if somebody wants to back test this and see if I'm right or if I'm wrong, I'd appreciate it. But this is a pattern which is not rare. And this is a common time, in my opinion, for the market to form a low after gapping down. Let's look at some other evidence. This is a pattern which usually rallies to a new high. And when it drops smartly at the open, more lows are coming, but they don't have to come immediately. And when there's no new high, that's negative. But what counts isn't Friday's close, but actually Monday's open. So if we come up here, that's the normal pattern you get from this. With a higher target, there's a good chance we're going to see that happen. Of course, if you gap down under this low, then the whole thing's killed. Now this is the daily count. We had a false break over this trend line. False breaks tend to be followed by breaks which aren't false. So at some point before this low falls, I'd like us to go back over the line. If this is the right count, you can count this as an ABC up, but I don't think that's a very convincing count. I think it's more likely that's A, that we're forming B, and at some point we're going to get a wave C up and hit one of these targets, 44.65, 45, 48, 49. I think this higher one's the more likely target, as I'll discuss. Well, here's your wave A. Right now, if you measure the whole rally up, you've got a 38.2% retrace. So after this strong impulse, all that happens is you retrace 38.2% of this low. So if it holds, you could have some justification for saying we trade higher. And the fact that we couldn't pull back 61.8% argues for a weaker pullback leading to a stronger rally. Now if that's the end of wave A, and that's black A of red B, you can see that A and C are equal right at this low. And if you look at this wave red B, you get an A, B, C, and everything works. Did I do that right? Yeah, A, B, C, everything works. All these internal things all work. So if this holds, it's a perfect count. And if it doesn't hold, well, the idea fails. We had this big drop, undercut practically all these lows, closed over all these lows, all of them. That's a sign of a rejection of the lows, if it holds at Monday's open. So we have a good chance that we've completed the ABC after the strong advance, and another strong advance is coming. And if that's A, then B would be somewhere up here, and I think that's the most likely target. It all depends on whether or not we hold our lows here. Monday's pattern has the early high. We could still gap down. There's a higher MEJT target. Unless we gap down smartly, it should print. Signals are mixed. It's negative. We have a strong gap down. The normal late move to a new high didn't happen. That's negative. But if we gap and promptly overtake Friday's high, that vitiates the pattern. But it's positive. Prior lows held. Volatility index and sentiment indicators are on buy signals. The wave count argues for higher prices. There's also the higher MEJT target. Gapping and promptly undercutting Friday's low vitiates the pattern. So I'm looking for a gap opening Monday. The odds favor the gap being up, but I don't predict what happens before the open. If it doesn't happen, then it doesn't happen. I don't have to risk any money. But there's a good chance this low holds and we have a strong rally. And if it's wrong, we should know before the open and we don't have to risk any money on it. Monday's pattern has the early high, and that is today's call.